So let me go ahead and talk about Transformers 4 Age of Extinction. This is not by any means a full movie review or any kind of detailed movie or plot summary or synopsis. This is just my thoughts on certain aspects of the film that made me think and maybe want to talk about. So one of the things I want to talk about is the Dinobots. The Dinobots do not appear until the last part of the movie, just before the final battle. And one of the things I wish we could have seen, but we didn't, is the origin story of these Dinobots. Where did they come from? How did they get their dinosaur forms and so forth? And who are these Transformers? I mean, they obviously had some kind of history before they show up in the movie, but they're just kind of dropped into the movie, which is, of course, nothing to be surprised about with Michael Bay directing. So it's nice to see the Dinobots. I won't have a problem with that. It's just I wish there was more of a kind of an origin story behind them. The Dinobots do not have any dialogue at all, so all they do is growl. Which I guess is okay. But I guess it would have been nice to see some dialogue, at least from Grimlock, and maybe even a reference back to G1 Grimlock. Something like "Me, Grimlock, ready to fight" or something like that. Even if it was a one-liner like that, some kind of reference back to the G1 character. But I guess they were meant to be portrayed more as kind of silent beast type of characters, which is what they are, being dinosaurs in their alternate forms. But yeah, it would have been nice to see an origin story and kind of how they got to become Dinobot or dinosaur-based robots. So the next thing I want to talk about is Cade Yeager, which is played by Mark Wahlberg. He's the main good guy character. I think they call him protagonist, but he's the main character that's we see in the movie. And one of the things that I had a problem with was towards the end of the movie, he was on lockdown ship and looking for some kind of weapon to fight with, and he sees this cache of Transformer weapons, and he grabs one of these weapons. It looks like a weapon. It looks like a sword that actually fires kind of laser type of weapon. So it's a sword/gun, basically. Anyhow, the kind of issue I have with that is, being that Transformers are so large in comparison to humans, wouldn't their weapons be just absolutely unwieldable by a human? I don't care. The strongest human in the world could not wield a Transformer weapon. So there was that little bit of. Yeah, I don't really believe that, but okay, let's move on. So there's that. But then the even more incredibly unbelievable part was towards the end of the movie when Cade Yeager was basically fighting Lockdown. So you have a Transformer, a large Transformer facing off against a human. Well, 100% of the time that's going to end up with the human being pulverized, right? But basically, Cade Yeager blocks Lockdown's strike with his acquired gun/sword Transformer weapon. And okay, so he can block it, but how can he withstand the strength of basically Lockdown's cybernetic robotic strength? Even if you manage to block Lockdown's strike, I mean, you're going to normally would get pulverized no matter what. So there was that issue. There was a scene that was pretty unbelievable. Optimus Prime as a character, interesting, because we see Optimus Prime basically becoming battle weary. He's tired of defending the humans, tired of seeing his Autobot compatriots get slaughtered, just tired of everything, and he wants to leave. Wants to leave the humans to their own devices. And so that's a little bit of a change with Optimus. I guess I can kind of accept that. That's kind of character development, I suppose. And we could use a lot of character development in a Bay movie. So yeah, but the one thing about Optimus that was really, really out of character was towards the end of the battle. Again, towards the end of the movie, there's the battle. He was actually Cade and Harold Attinger, played by Kelsey Grammer. So Cade and Harold Attinger, the CIA dude, they're fighting. Harold Attinger is about to blow Cade Yeager away with a gun, and Optimus Prime basically blows away Harold Attinger. He kills a human, yeah. So up until that point, it was like, protect humans no matter what. Even if they're attacking you, you protect humans. That's the way it was in the G1. So that was a little bit of out of character. So I don't know. Are we going to be seeing like a morphing into Nemesis Prime or something. But anyhow, I suppose that was maybe necessary to maybe throw some, like I say, character development into the film. Yeah, so there is that. That was a little bit unbelievable because, after all, this is Optimus Prime, especially voiced by Peter Cullen. You know, he's noble as a knight, you know? But anyhow, what else can I talk about? I kind of thought that Galvatron would somehow interfere with Lockdown, with the idea that, you know, Megatron wouldn't want, or Galvatron wouldn't want Lockdown to get the pleasure of defeating Prime. He wanted that pleasure for himself. So I figured maybe he would intervene with Lockdown, and Lockdown and Galvatron would fight briefly, at least. But that never happened in the movie. So Galvatron really had a limited presence in the movie, other than one of the battle scenes with Optimus Prime. And at the end of the movie, of course, we see Galvatron walking away from the war-torn city, and he basically is saying, "We will meet again, Optimus Prime." So potentially that means, of course, that of course, Transformers 5, we're probably going to see Megatron versus Optimus Prime, or Galvatron, Megatron, whatever you call him, versus Optimus Prime. So, there's that. The overall plot was decent. There were a lot of little subplots, like the Galvatron story and some of the other ones, that kind of were not fully developed, but in the case of Galvatron, I guess they were wanting to hold that off to reach its fruition in Transformers 5. So the plot with the idea that humans were creating these basically drones that they controlled, and that they were hunting down Autobots in particular for their basically their raw materials to create these drones. That was pretty good. I was not really digging that at first, and it's not really the best plot line we've seen from the cartoons or from the IDW comics. But I suppose in Bay's mind, and whoever created the script and the plot, is that basically we had to include humans somehow, so there's a plot there to include humans with controlling the drones and so forth. So I guess that was an okay decision. But on that note, I'm hoping that we see in the next movie that we see at least Cybertron, or something to do in space and something less to do with Earth. You know, because we see Optimus Prime at the end of the movie, you know, fly off into space, basically wanting to take revenge against the people who sent Lockdown to get him. So well, of course, we don't know anything about Transformers 5 yet, but I'm optimistic that we'll at least get to see a lot of the movie, a good chunk of the movie, taking place on Cybertron or in space, or with mostly Transformers in the scene and not humans. I like to see all the parts shifting. You know, we see the Transformers transform on screen, and when we see Optimus Prime transform, for example, into his robot mode, and back from robot mode into his truck mode. It's always cool to see the parts shifting, and it makes it really look believable. But with this new way of transforming, yeah, it's kind of a neat idea, but it kind of disappointing at the same time. Like I say, I like to see all the parts move and shift and so forth when you're watching a Transformer transform. Now, as far as the characterization of the Autobots and Decepticons, well, there really was no characterization. As usual, this is a Michael Bay movie, so don't expect a lot of character or plot development. So, character-wise, of course, we still have Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, but the rest of the team is new with Hound, Crosshairs, and Drift. So, they're you know, like with the Autobots, there really wasn't a origin story for Drift, Crosshairs, and Hound. They kind of just show up as being, you know, somebody that that Optimus Prime knew before, that we never knew anything about. So they just show up and they're away they go, which, you know, of course, is fine in a Bay movie, but it would have been nice to see origin stories for all of them. You know, maybe just a 5-minute or 10-minute little thing where they showed, you know, the history with Optimus Prime, you know, what kind of history they had in terms of background, character background. So that would have been nice, but of course we didn't get that in the movie. Now, was really super excited to see these new characters because of their alternate modes with the Bugatti and the Chevrolet Corvette. It was really cool to see those really nice sports cars there in the movie. Hound is awesome. I love the toy. I love the idea of the toy and the idea of the character. I just couldn't really quite get into Hound in the movie. Perhaps it was because of the voice actor, which was John Goodman, which is he's a well-known actor, and maybe his voice was too distinctive, and I found it distracting. Perhaps that was the case, but also his character Hound uses a lot of just like profanity, which is not. I mean, when I say profanity, I mean he's like, take this bitch, that bitch, bitch, and calling people bitches and all that stuff, which is fine. I'm not easily offended, but I mean it's kind of like seems a little bit over the top and unnecessary, especially for an Autobot character. So there was that. So I really can't get into the Hound character as portrayed in the Michael Bay movie. However, I do love the idea of the character. I love the toy. So there you go. But I would say that, of course, as usual, after seeing any Bay movie, Bay Transformer movie, I wish there could have been a lot more interaction amongst the Transformers. That we don't that I think we don't have to have a human in every scene to make it a good movie. So it'd be definitely cool to see more interaction between the Transformers, more than just one-liners. Of course, we see dialogue between the Transformers, but they're mostly one-liners and very, very just not very substantial dialogue at all. Just one-liners and maybe a few other sentences, but that's about it. So, oddly enough, I would like to see a reboot of this series without Michael Bay in there. I know that's not likely anytime soon because apparently there's going to be Transformers 5 and 6, and I would imagine possibly Bay would take over that director position again. Even if he didn't, I think the Transformers 5 and 6 would have to follow the same kind of formula that the previous 4 movies employed, meaning explosions, more explosions and, battling robots and tearing robots apart on screen and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of reboots in general, but I think once the course runs out for the Bay Transformer continuity, it would be nice to see a reboot with a new director, new take on the Transformers movie line, as far as the way the Transformers are portrayed in the movies, live-action movies, that is. Like I say, more dialogue, more screen time for the Transformers. By the way, the screen time is the longest screen time for a Transformers movie at 2 hours and 45 minutes. It really didn't seem that long to me, to be honest, but maybe that's because it's been 3 years since I saw a new Transformers movie, so it didn't seem that long to me. I mean, definitely it was long, for sure, but it didn't seem like it was 2 hours and 45 minutes long. So I guess that's good in a sense. I didn't feel like I was bored or anything. Alright, let's go ahead, and I'm going to wrap this review up and just say thanks for listening, and I'll catch you guys and gals later.